YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with an updated 2020 NFL mock draft just after week 3 of the NFL and just after week 4 of college football. A lot of significant changes at the top, and this will be the last mock draft on our YouTube channel for a while until draft season. Unless you're part of that Patreon, then you're going to get several updates to the mock draft, updated order and prospects, obviously, throughout this whole season. Expect updated ones to come every other week until we get to about mid-NFL season, then pretty much every week with updated order and prospects. And it may not always be in video form, but updated mock drafts constantly on the Patreon. Along with that is updated playoffs and Super Bowl picks. So as things change in the NFL, I will update my seedings for the playoffs, round-by-round predictions, and the Super Bowl picks. All that going down on the Patreon pretty much every week as much as possible. There's also bonus videos on there as well, whether it's NFL videos, behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos here at the Goat House, and then private Discord chats available. So a lot available at the Patreon. Just go check it out. Link in description for more info. And we have a subscriber goal of 40K by the end of this year. Please help us out by subscribing. We got you covered with full NFL and college football content throughout the season and during the offseason with draft content. Turn notifications on, click the like button, check us out on Twitter. We tweet during live games. Let's go through the draft. And this is the actual order as we sit. I expect it to change constantly. That's just how it works. So maybe you see some surprises at the top, but I'll break these down. If the Jets have the first pick, obviously I don't see them going quarterback. They like Sam Darnold. He's the future. And a tough decision here between two players, and that is Chase Young, the pass rusher from Ohio State, and Andrew Thomas, the offensive tackle from Georgia. And I went with Chase Young. You know, we know how important pass rush is, but we know offensive line is very important as well. And the Jets need another guy to protect Sam Darnold. The pass protection hasn't been too good. Really, you saw Simmons get injured because of that just a week ago on Monday night. But they need pass rush to complete that defense. The defense is looking good, but it's at the same time it's lacking the most important thing right there, the actual pass rush position. Chase Young can play either defense, and Greg Williams can run either defense. So Chase Young, good fit, worth the pick. He goes first, even though I expect a bunch of quarterbacks at the top, and maybe the team actually picking first or trading up to first will probably take a quarterback. And then the Bengals, I have actually going with Jacob Eason, quarterback from Washington. Maybe a little bit of surprise, and maybe I'm jumping on the hype early, but this is something I can see, and this guy is pretty much putting us on notice at this point. So far, a very good start to the season for Jacob Eason, and just an incredible arm talent out of him. You know, a rocket arm, and that's everything. That's always the thing that front office guys in the front office of NFL teams and scouts. It's always what they overvalue, I guess, is arm talent, arm strength, I should say, and he has it. And not that they'll overvalue in this situation, but I think people within NFL teams are higher on Eason than people think. It's hard to see because he didn't look so hot in Georgia, but that was years ago. Gets another chance at Washington. It looks like a whole different person, a whole different quarterback, and really has impressed me, and I think he's impressing these NFL teams and scouts. And the Bengals, I see them kind of going this route instead of going a Tua route. That's just my opinion. Eason, people can think, maybe he's the next, not that he's Mahomes, but maybe he's, that type of quarterback with the crazy arm talent. So, and the Bengals, Dalton's not the answer. Is Ryan Finley the answer? I don't know if he even get a shot this year. They have to pull Dalton at some point, but Eason could be their guy. He's definitely a guy to look out for at the top here. And then you see the Dolphins right now have picks 3 and 4 because they got for Minkah Fitzpatrick. That is the Steelers' pick at 4. So they get their guy Tua still without having a top 2 pick. That's their quarterback. I don't know if Tua will be. No, I mean I know I don't think Tua will be, a number 1 quarterback in everyone's board. You have to be willing to not only will be willing to run a Tua system, a lot of RPO, which the league's heading in, but you also have to be a believer in him because he has, hasn't been too careful with the ball in huge situations against really good teams. He also has an insane amount of weapons, the best receiver unit maybe ever in college football, a great offensive line. So some teams may like other quarterbacks better, but the Dolphins go the Tua route. And then they get the best offensive lineman in the draft, who has been outstanding and who impressed me big time in this past week against Notre Dame, blocking that Notre Dame pass rush. They were switching guys all over the place because they got 3 big-time pass rushers, and he was holding them down. Super impressive. One of my favorite players in this draft. So they get right there, just like that, they get their quarterback, and they get a guy who can be a Pro Bowl left tackle almost instantly. So that looks pretty good for the Dolphins right there. And the Broncos go Justin Herbert. I know they drafted Drew Lock last year, who I think has a chance to take over as their quarterback, but where they drafted him, kind of how they feel about him right now, they know they can get better, and Flacco's not going to be there forever. And Herbert, I think, will be a Elway type guy. I think people are starting to sleep on Herbert. They just look at, I guess his stats. His stats are pretty good too, but they kind of just look at his stats and what Oregon has done. I don't know if they unleash Herbert as much as they should. He's got another guy with a rocket arm, very good in the pocket, and not afraid to get outside the pocket, throw on the run. I think he's a smart quarterback, very good throwing in the middle of the field, which we're lacking today in the NFL. And I mean, he's got a lot of upside too. I think this could be a Broncos type guy. I still think he could be the top quarterback in the draft. The Broncos go there. Redskins go with Jerry Jeudy, receiver from Alabama. Maybe the safest receiver prospect in a long, long time, maybe ever. The best one in this class, arguably the best player in this draft. The Redskins been lacking receivers for quite some time now. Looks like they got a hit on Terry McLaurin. It's really all they got. Put Jeudy with McLaurin, with Dwayne Haskins for the future, or maybe we'll say it's Keenum still next year. He can play. But you got yourselves the receiver group then. And then Jerry Jeudy, one of the better prospects in the draft anyway, so it's very hard to pass on at this point. And obviously they're not thinking quarterback because they got Dwayne Haskins for the future. The Cardinals take Tristan Wirfs. Obviously they need an offensive lineman. Obviously they much rather have Andrew Thomas. I mean, he's clearly the best. He could be the best player in this draft, really. But they just have no choice. I think they would like Jerry Jeudy too. Could go a couple. I mean, they can go some defensive. They go the defensive route as well. They need help on defense. The run defense isn't too good. But Tristan Wirfs, they need offensive linemen. Murray is not going to be that number 1 overall pick. Play to that level unless he has the offensive line. So you get the guy from Iowa here at 7. The Browns also are a team that definitely needs a tackle. Their biggest needs a tackle. I don't know if one's worthy of this pick. You could make the case, but there's a guy sitting here that is 100% worthy of the pick. And we've seen the Browns, they tried to get Gerald McCoy, they tried to get Mike Daniels, so it's no secret looking for a D tackle. You got an elite prospect here in Derek Brown. The guy can play multiple positions in the defensive line. He's just dominant. If you just watch it, the time we're recording this video, it's just week 4, just past college football. Auburn played Texas A&M. He was a force all over the D-line. They eventually had to put 2 guys on him, blocking him, which they kind of started off 2 guys blocking him. He was a force. They had to put 3 guys on blocking. I've seen multiple plays, 3 offensive linemen blocking Derek Brown. That's how dominant he is. Don't have him at the top, I guess. I do have him towards the top at 8, but I might be higher on him than most people. I'd say it's tough to make a big board at this way too early stage, but I'd say there's 4 guys. I'm not going to throw in a quarterback yet. The 5th guy would probably be a quarterback, but there's 4 guys that are at the top of my board that are elite status for this draft. And in no particular, we're going the order I had them come off the board. Those 4 guys that are clearly at the top for me are Chase Young, Andrew Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, and Derek Brown. So Derek Brown is one of those guys. And the quarterbacks are really good. I like these quarterbacks. Still need to see way more from pretty much all of them. That's why I wouldn't throw them in the elite conversation yet. But it could be an elite group, with guys like Eason and some other guys maybe we'll talk about in a second here that are making the names for themselves and sneaking up here. That's the first 8 picks. And again, this is the current draft order. I'm not predicting a draft order here. Next 8 picks, I got the Jags taking T. Higgins. This is kind of the receiver they need, whether their quarterback is Foles or Gardner Minshew. It's kind of a do-it-all receiver, but he's got some size, length, the jump ball ability, downfield. It's kind of what they need. It's kind of what they're lacking. They got some solid young receivers, but they just don't have the T. Higgins type. It's what they need, and that's where I have them going right here. The Raiders at 10 take Isaiah Simmons, and you could throw Simmons in that category. I just named off the 4 guys from the top 8. I didn't want to spoil anything with the next guy, but now we can. Isaiah Simmons is going to be in the conversation with those 4 guys, probably the 5th on my board right now. A freak linebacker, today's NFL linebacker in general. Does it all. Athletic freak. We've seen him play safety at times. I mean, this guy's all over the place. And sometimes you worry about the guys like turn safety linebacker being physical enough. No, not a concern at all here. The Raiders upgrade any linebacker position right away with Isaiah Simmons. Love this guy's game. Very exciting. The Chargers go Walker Little, offensive tackle from Stanford, who's currently has an injury, could be out for a significant time. But even when even knowing that, kind of fast forward to the draft, he's got to be healthy. He could be a top pick. The Chargers' pass protection pretty ugly right now. They can run block, but I think that's the scheme. I think you can just bring other talented or somewhat talented offensive linemen in there, and they can still learn that scheme and run block. They need guys that can actually pass block. That's why they need Walker Little there. And then here's another quarterback that's making a name for himself right now, coming off the board, Joe Burrow, who out of all these quarterbacks taken, Joe Burrow has been probably the most impressive and the best one in college football right now. The improvement is insane. And some people may not want to draft Joe Burrow super high. That's kind of why I have him dropping down, just because it's kind of out of nowhere. Same thing with Eason, but people are going to fall in love with that rocket arm. That's just how it is, okay? Burrow has a great arm. He's super smart. He can move better than you think. And the improvements while switching, he switched schools, Ohio State to LSU, and then LSU changed their offense. All of that together it's a great sign. It's a great sign going forward. He can be coached. It's so great. And the Titans will have free agents, Mariota and Tannehill, and then people kind of knocking Mariota right now, so he may not be. And almost like they don't trust him. I still believe in Mariota. I don't know if he's going to go win a Super Bowl or anything like that, but, it just doesn't look like they believe in him with their play calling. I don't think they fire their coaches after this year. I think it's too early. So I think they can go this type of route, a guy like Joe Burrow, who's been super impressive, and I think he can continue to do that, and we could be talking about him as a top 5 pick. I almost snuck him in there. I just think there's, I'm just kind of trying to put myself in those scouts, what they see in their shoes. And what they see is, they're going to like the other guys a little more because I guess they're traits. But Burrows looks fantastic, better than anybody so far in college football. And I'm a huge fan. So Titans this would be a good pick, right? Very good pick. Another steal, I guess, at 13 would be A.J. Epinet, the defensive end from Iowa. You kind of expect him easily in the top 10 because the other good talent, mainly offensive talent everywhere, which is awesome because it's usually defensive talent. You got this guy that kind of drops down, a dominant pass rusher. And it's too good to pass, but the Falcons could use him. The future would be McKinley and Epinesa, what could be a darn good pass rush future. Beasley I don't think is part of that. So the Falcons go that route. The Giants desperately need a receiver. They could use some defense too, but I thought the best available player between, looking at receiver and maybe some of the corners, some of the DBs or safeties, I should say. I thought Ruggs could make the bigger impact. Maybe the fastest guy in the draft. Such a dynamic player too. You can do so much with him. Can help Daniel Jones out a bunch. The Bucs, another team that can definitely use defense, but I don't know how you can pass on a dominant running back like Travis Etienne. Maybe another one of those guys that could be the best player in college football, could win that Heisman. He's just absolute dominant, starting to develop ability to catch the ball to the backfield or downfield as well. And this will just take Bruce Arians' offense to just the next level. Dominant running back. People worried about taking running backs high. I'm not worried about taking Etienne high. He could be that next best running back. The Panthers take Grant Delpit, safety from LSU. No secret they need some safety help. They need DB help in general. Grant Delpit, once known as an elite prospect, and you put on the film, and he's flashy. He's a playmaker. He looks pretty close to elite prospect. The reason I have him dropping a little bit, we know how NFL teams always, they let guys slide when they don't have, I guess, the frame or the build. Delpit, he will need to put on some strength, put on some weight for NFL teams to like him. It's not really a problem for me. I like Delpit a lot, but that's the issue I see right now. And I think, me predicting what could happen, that's what I see. But that'd be a great player for the Panthers right there. Another one of those LSU DBs, good playmaker. Next 8 picks. Got the Eagles going with the best corner in the draft, in my opinion. I guess that you can argue that. A couple good ones we'll talk about here. But Bryce Hall, very physical, feared there on the outside, and then pass breakup machine. The Eagles definitely, they have a bunch of corners, but they don't have the guy. They don't have that guy yet. So Bryce Hall, they go and grab him. They wild card. They don't like taking running backs in the first round. It's kind of known, but they are missing that right now, that top-tier running back, and you can grab one here in this first round. But receiver, Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson not going to be around forever, and they're already hurt right now. They could be looking at a receiver because, you could add to the future with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside there. And the Raiders grab a receiver, C.D. Lamb, so they missed out on holding on to Antonio Brown, which was part of their plans. So they're going to need to grab a receiver here, and they get an athletic one that is also very good downfield in C.D. Lamb. So they grab Simmons and Lamb. Pretty good haul so far for the Raiders because they do have the Chicago Bears pick. The Seahawks grab a corner. Another one of those teams that has pretty good depth, pretty good corner room, but it's definitely a spot where you can get better. And you get a lengthy corner on the outside that's very good at attacking the ball, and Paulson Adebo from Stanford. Very impressive so far through the season. The Vikings add another offensive lineman. I think they can use one more. They can use a guard right where Pat Elflein's at right now. He's been struggling. But really on either side, I guess they can use one. Tommy Kramer's been super impressive to me from Notre Dame. Notre Dame, kind of a, poor man's Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame. So mean, insanely good at run blocking. It'd be a guy the Vikings would love to have there and kind of complete their offensive line. The Colts go at Gross Matos, the edge rusher from Penn State, sack machine. I think he fits their defense as well. Consistently getting, pressure and sacks last year and this year. Another pass rusher going 22. The Ravens take Giuliano, a guy that I think can fit their defense, stepping back off the ball, playing more of an outside linebacker spot. He's super impressive. He has the traits. This guy has the traits, and the Ravens, with their minds over there on the defensive side, I think they'll put it all together, and Kawara could be a very good pass rush at the next level. Saints go Tyler Johnson, receiver from Minnesota, who I've liked a lot over the last couple of years. Very impressive. I think a safe receiver to take, too. You know what you're going to get from him. He's a good sideline catcher, but can get open anywhere on the field. Very good routes for kind of somewhat of a big-sized target. The Saints, it's really Michael Thomas. I know Ginn's solid, but he's not going to be around that much longer. They do have Traquan Smith, but you definitely need another one to kind of open things up for Michael Thomas, take a little pressure off him, take a little, coverage off of him. So they add Johnson here. The Lions go Trayvon Diggs, the corner from Alabama, one that's standing out right now because we've seen him move around positions that never really had a firm position, talking about a few years ago, and now he's got his position at a cornerback, and he may have the best technique and the best hips out of any corner in his draft, and that's crazy because he hasn't had this firm position in a while. It was just natural. I mean, you see his brother in the NFL, just natural athletes here, and that's what Diggs is. He can also be a returner for you too, but the Lions add this corner here for the future. They do have Slay and Melvin, but, I definitely can use another guy out there for the future there. And the Lions, I think, are a pretty complete team. They could, a wild card could be there. They can consider a quarterback in the future. Really, they could. The last 8 picks, the Dolphins go DeAndre Swift, running back at Georgia. Another one of these great running backs in this draft class. Very fun to watch. The strength that this guy has is insane. Kenyon Drake or Balaj, are those the answers for their true number one running back? I don't think so. I think Swift can be. And put him with Tua and his teammate Andrew Thomas. Makes a lot of sense there. You may think they need a pass rusher a little more. I didn't really, I thought Swift was just a better value here. I don't know if these other ones really fit as well either. So they go Swift. They're stacking up that offense because it is an offensive league. Patriots go Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle from Alabama. Talked about 2 years ago. I love this guy. He was going to be an elite prospect of mine. That was 2 seasons ago based off his play. Last season based off his play. I don't know why, but he kind of dove down in terms of his production and how he played. So I was a little concerned. Need to see more this year. We know what he's capable of, but you just kind of want to see more and see him stay consistent. Not a whole bunch of great D tackles in this draft class. The Patriots definitely can use one. I think he's worthy of this pick. Guy the Patriots can turn around and get him back on the right track where he was. The Niners, I think, a pretty complete team. Offense just needs to continue to execute. I think in terms of defense, they're only spot where they're lacking is safety. So they go out here and grab Xavier McKinney, another Alabama player, Bama safety. The Cowboys go Curtis Weaver. Let's pair Boise State edge rusher with the other Boise State edge rusher, DeMarcus Lawrence. Not why I did it, but because he's the best pass rusher available at this point that fits. Curtis Weaver, very, very productive. Very productive last couple of years, this year as well. Cowboys, I think, could, Quinn's not the answer long-term. DeMarcus Lawrence is. They need another one. Taco Charlton's gone. Didn't work out. They could take a guy like Weaver. The Bills, surprising pick maybe a little bit. They go Jonathan Taylor here, running back Wisconsin. I think they could use they can use a top-tier receiver. There's some pretty good ones left still. That's the thing. This is the point where teams kind of just wait for a receiver. There's a load of them. We'll get in the second round, third round. You can find a good receiver late even. And then you look at pretty complete defense. I mean, you could use another pass rusher. I don't think there's another one available that really fits necessarily in terms of their defense, as long as they keep it the same, which I don't see any reason why they would switch it. So I do think they need a running back, though. I wasn't super high on Singletary in the pre-draft process. He does look pretty good, but he's not going to be their every down back. I don't think he's going to be their feature back. Frank Gore, obviously, he's not going to be around much longer at all. Jonathan Taylor could be, and I do worry he had some fumbling issues in the past, but looks like he's fixing it. Looks really good. Really getting a part of that, receiving game, passing game there, catching the ball in the backfield. Hard runner, very fast, knows how to hit the lane. This makes this Bills offense a lot better. It's a good option for Josh Allen as well. So the Bills go with that route. And the Rams go with a pass rusher that I think fits the Rams 3-4 defense. Levon Chason, the edge rusher from LSU. Outside linebacker is where I like him. Freak, just a freak guy. Absolute freak. Kind of came out of nowhere. Just been highly productive so far this season. And there's a lot of LSU guys that we kind of expected to be up here that, honestly, I haven't been too thrilled with so far this year. I do like Delpit a lot, but expected a little more. And you see, I don't have Fulton going in the first round. He's a good corner, a lot of upside. Just haven't been super pleased with it. This is a guy that's kind of under the radar that ended up being really good. A guy that teams like the Rams, Wade Phillips, want to work with a lot. Freakish guy. We've seen Daniil Hunter, who's on the Minnesota Vikings. He was kind of that freakish guy that really didn't have a whole bunch of production at LSU. It's kind of one of those guys you want to work with. And then same situation here. And the Chiefs go Dylan Moses, who's currently out for the season. He's currently hurt. He'll be good by this point. Maybe could drop because of the injury concern. His first injury, though, dominant linebacker here. So the Chiefs definitely upgrade that linebacker unit. Could go corner. Again, you can't really pass on Moses here. The other corners, I think you can wait in the second round and get. And then kind of a wild card here, the Packers, who currently would have the last pick in the tiebreaker, going Jake Fromm, the quarterback of Georgia. Not a whole bunch of huge need for the Packers. I was before maybe the last couple weeks, I was thinking they could go with an offensive lineman. They're really liking Elgin Jenkins. I like that pick a lot. He's looking really good right now. I think they're set at tackle. Maybe they could use a right tackle. I think you can find one after round 32. So, or first round, past pick 32 is what I'm trying to say. And so they can get a right tackle past them. Maybe grab a quarterback that can learn. And what Fromm is missing is kind of what Rodgers has everything, but Rodgers has that ability to make that huge play to extend drives and get outside the pocket. That's what he's known for. Everybody knows that's what Rodgers is known for, among other things. But that's the first thing that pops in your mind when you think about Rodgers. That's what Jake Fromm's missing right now. That's what he's missing. And that's why I'm a little worried about Fromm, like in the first round or early first round. And I think some coaches or some scoutings in the front office will be a little worried because he's kind of just a game manager right now. And you don't want it to turn out, similar to what other NFL teams have a problem with right now. Like they're trying to figure out how to win games, while having a quarterback that really doesn't have a whole bunch of success throwing downfield. I think Fromm can do it. I think this is a perfect situation to learn from here, and that's why it made sense to me. Also, the Packers don't have a whole bunch of needs to me. The defense is looking pretty good. They beefed up the outside linebackers. They could use some things here and there, but they're fine with their defense. To me, if I had to say their biggest need, like right now, I'd say another receiver, but it's not that gigantic of a need. So they could afford to do this. It just depends on their thoughts on Fromm. Everybody will be split. For me, the quarterbacks that I had going ahead of them, and that wasn't my big board quarterback order that I had. It's kind of just predictions. But for me, those quarterbacks are higher on my board than Fromm. I just worry about Fromm at the next level, and this is a perfect situation. I'd still feel comfortable with him around these parts or early second. But that's my updated mock draft. Again, if you want more of these updated several times, almost every single week as the year gets going, go to our Patreon. Also, updated playoffs and Super Bowl predictions will be on there as well. All kinds of stuff on that Patreon. So please check it out. You click the link. It just gives you more info. Don't have to do anything yet, but you just get more info on that. Please subscribe to the channel. Full NFL and college football content. We got you covered all year long. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.